bought untitled land within the Ibeju Lekki Free Zone axis some years back. Here is your update, and I'm starting this update from the Okun Folu axis of the Ibeju Lekki. Some years back, this particular location was the rave of the moment. A whole lot of investors trooped into this particular location with people buying in hectares and acres, right? And a whole lot of investors actually believed in the future of this particular location, trusting that the coastal lane that is here today will drive in growth and rapid development. And indeed, it actually brought development, but with a little concern. And the concern is the fact that this particular coastal lane was redirected, which took some part of the expanse of land that had been sold and allocated to subscribers back then. Now, this has actually created a whole lot of controversy and, of course, some lost trust in the future of this particular corridor. But trust me that the investments around there, they're still as valid as every other locations you have properties in Lagos, Nigeria. The rate of development within this particular location and, of course, the future that is expected for this particular location makes every real estate investment within this location very, very valid and, of course, futuristic. That is why it is advisable for any investor that have their stake within this corridor to not lose hope, but rather be patient and work with the developers. This location is the Lagos Tropicana axis that stretches all the way down to the Lekki Free Zone, Dangote Refinery axis. Right. Upon approval of a decision, a fee was expected to be paid by every subscribers, right? But now that there is no excision, and of course the coastal lane has been realigned and some portion of the expanse of land has been taken, right? This is what has been done behind the scene. Some real estate companies have gone on to apply for direct allocated CO4, which means that you don't necessarily have to get any title in your name again. Now, please remember that with cession, you still have to go for a governor's consent. But in this situation, a CO4 has been issued on the remaining expanse of land. Please remember that the coastal lane was realigned, right? It is expected that 150-meter setback should be given on both sides, which means this expanse is further reduced in plots. But here is the good news. Developers had gone on to apply for direct allocated CO4, which means that they had gone on to rebuy this expanse of land. Now remember that these lands were supposed to come with approved village decision, right? And with that, you still have to go on to process a consent in your name. But now that it is coming with a global CO4, you don't necessarily have to go for another title. And that is perfect, which makes the investment safe, secure, and genuine. But the but here is that for those that have multiple plots back then, it has to be downsized. First, because the expanse of land has been reduced drastically as a result of the realignment of the coastal road. Secondly, the developers had to rebuy this expanse of land, and the developers have to share the costs across every subscribers. Here is the catch. In 2020, Lady Realtor bought an hectare of land within the Okun Folu axis for 50 million naira. Now in 2026, the developers having to rebuy the expanse of land. My 50 million naira can now only afford just 2 plots of land. Now, that is the reality that is coming. So even with 2 plots of land, Lady Realtor still get value, good value at that. Do you understand this? Now, that is the reality for the untitled lands within that axis, for the non-committed untitled land. Right. Here is the Igondoloja end of this particular update. Coming backward, after the Dangote Refinery, Lekki Free Zone, towards Eleko, Ibeju Lekki axis, the story gets more interesting. This particular location enjoys more rapid development and is closer to town, less than 40 minutes drive to Victoria Island, which makes it more economically viable and easily accessible. Same process with the Folu Ishe applies here. But what distinguishes this particular location is the fact that this particular location is tending towards more commercial activities with the advantage of the beachfront. And also, this particular location, like I said previously, is easily accessible, is closer to town. And of course, the price points, because currently, a plot of land within this particular location, especially for commercial activities, is from 100 million naira upward. Can you see why I said this particular location will favor every patient investors in the long run? With that being said, the major infrastructure that drove the attention of many to this particular location is already a reality. This will drive in more investors to this particular location, and that is what every real estate investment feed on. So it means over time, it is still value for your money. I will be in the comment section to answer your query, concerns, and worry. My name is Akinoye Temitope, also known as the Lady Realtor. I run a licensed real estate agency in Lagos, Nigeria. You can reach out to me for verified properties in Lagos, Nigeria. I hope this helps. Have a nice day.